bulletin is rebroadcast by ZS6STN.
Good morning to all on frequency. You are tuned in to the 145700 Sandton repeater, or Echolink ZS6STN-R, and we welcome you to the bulletin this morning. During the bulletin proceedings, we will cover the Sandton Amateur Radio Club news, as well as the South African Radio League news for Sunday, 7 January 2024. To start off, we will go on and say, this is ZS6HI, who will be operating a ZS6STN for the bulletin this morning. And my name is Keith. In the news today, the SARL AGM 2024. Please participate in a 3-question survey. And the closing date for SARL awards and motions. And finally, a club news. Stay tuned for more information on these and other interesting news items. We start with the SARL AGM 2024, where we've been asked to please participate in a 3-question survey. The SARL Annual General Meeting and Awards Dinner will take place in Cape Town on the weekend of 19 to 21 April 2024, hosted by the Cape Town Amateur Radio Centre, CT-ARC. To assist the planning committee in getting an idea of the size of the venue required and to assist with catering planning, please participate in a 3-question survey on the SARL voting system. You can log on to the SARL voting system at sarl.org.za/web3/electronic voting/default.aspx, or follow the link on the SARL homepage. There's an information document on how to answer the questions. Please read it and prior to answering the 3 questions. The closing date for the survey is midnight on Friday, 12 January 2024. Registration for the event will open directly after the poll. Your participation in the survey will be much appreciated. Only with your assistance will the team be able to create a superb event. So I think RSVPs are always important, so obviously the registration will open after the poll, but go and give them your view right now whether you're going to be able to attend, or you in 2 minds, or you're definitely not going to be able to attend the annual general meeting and awards dinner taking place in Cape Town on weekend of 19 to 21 April. We move on to articles for Radio ZS. The editor has requested that articles for Radio ZS be sent to radiozs@sarl.org.za. Please do not send your articles via WhatsApp. That method, articles tend to get lost. And that brings me to, what about articles for the Sandton Amateur Radio Club Dipole? The club is very interested in what you are building or playing with. Any experiences or activities or activations that you may have done recently. So we would love to have your articles for the Sandton Amateur Radio Club Dipole as well. You do not need to be an author. Just pen a few words, attach a few pics, and send information on to info@zs6stn.org.za, and the editor will do the rest. You could even be in line to receive a prize for your submission, or submissions, hopefully. That brings us to the closing date for the SAR Awards and AGM motions. Members are once again reminded that the closing date for SARL award nominations and motions for the 2024 AGM is on Wednesday, 31 January 2024. This date has been published in the 2024 SARL Diary of Events. Please send your nomination and motions through to secretary@sarl.org.za. You are listening to a news bulletin of the South African Radio League. Moving on to club news. Have you heard of fox hunting or radio direction finding? Are you interested but uncertain if this is for you? Or are you an experienced fox hunter willing to share your knowledge? Well then, please diarize the afternoon of 20 January from 12:30 CAT, as the Sandton Club will be holding a get-to-know fox hunting instructional at a venue to be advised. It was going to be at the First Bryanston Scout Hall, but apparently they're busy that weekend, so we're approaching NARC to see if we can use NARC, or we'll use some other venue in the Johannesburg northern suburbs area. To help this instructional is going to help all interested parties understand what fox hunting is all about and how they can participate. This is ahead of the fox hunt events that will take place throughout the year, such as a find your food hunt, the drive hunts, and the walking hunts. The session will cover the equipment that can be used to participate in fox hunting, the types of hunts, as well as various helpful strategies that may assist hunters. There will even be an opportunity to test the theory and use your own or borrowed equipment to find a hidden fox on the property. At the most basic level, all you really need is a handy-talkie. So if you have one, bring it along. Remember that you do not need to be a licensed amateur to participate in fox hunting. Anyone can participate. So please also bring along all who are interested, as fox hunting is a really fun activity for all ages. No foxes are hurt during the events, and there are even some great prizes up for grabs. See you on the afternoon of 20 January 2024 from 12:30 SAST. Please see the SARL upcoming events diary for all the details. You're also obviously most welcome to simply come along and join the team just for the fun of it. The George repeater on 145/700 megahertz. That rings a bell. I'm sure this is due to Stuart, the ZS6 Whiskey Tango, moving down to George, and he doesn't want to try and remember another repeater frequency. Hi, just kidding there, Stuart. The George repeater has been connected to the ZS1 COR-L Echolink node for testing purposes, and they would really like you to come along and say hello to test the audio and have a chat. So please get onto ZS1 COR-L and go and have a chat via the George repeater on 145/700 megahertz to the George area. You may be even able to chat to our own Stuart, the ZR6 Whiskey Tango. Moving on to contest news. We understand you may be warming up the airwaves from 50 to 1300 megahertz during the Players National VHF-UHS contest over the weekend of 12 to 14 January. And yes, you're correct, that is next weekend. So whilst trying to achieve a new distance record on VHF and UHF, it must be noted that here you're able to use maximum permissible power on the VHF and UHF frequencies. So here is a really fun challenge for you. How many QSOs can you make, and at what distance can you achieve on 40 and 20 meters during the upcoming QRP contest that is scheduled for the morning of Saturday, 20 January from 7:30 UTC. The QRP contests are intended to be fun activities to promote QRP operations and experimentation. And you now have 2 weeks left to prepare and plan your strategy. During the contest, you can use any or all of 4 different modes: phone, CW, FT8, and JSAT call. And you can participate both as a QRP contester or as a chaser. Yes, there are awards for both. We need chasers and we need contesters. What an awesome way to start 2024. Please see the SARL upcoming diary of events and Blue Book for all the details. It must be noted that this one is being underwritten by ZS6STN. So yes, we really want as many Santonians to participate as possible. If you need help, or you would like to team up with someone for the contest, or you would like to just get involved in helping marking of the logs that we receive, please send an email to info@zs6stn.org.za as soon as possible. Just taking a sideline now, just out of interest, I've been using a low-power 20-watt radio throughout December with great success. Yesterday I was actually in the Rietfontein Nature Reserve in Paulshof, and the ZS1 stations were booming in, and I was reaching them on my 20-watt phone, via 20-watt phone on this little radio. Yeah, it's not quite 10 watts, but as required on it's not quite 10 watts phone as will be required on 20 January, but at least I've been acclimatizing for the QRP contest, so moved away from the 100 watts and at least operating on 20 watts at the moment. So come on, plan your QRP contest participation, and as mentioned, you can be a contester using QRP power or a chaser if you find that QRP power is a bit low for you. And remember to submit your logs. Both contesters and chasers, please remember to submit your logs. Catch you on the bands. We'll now move on to the propagation report. Hannes Kutsia, ZS6BZB, reports that the solar activity is expected to be at low to moderate levels. There are currently 7 sunspot regions with simple to complex magnetic configurations visible, and a high probability for C-class and moderate probability for M-class solar flares. If you want to do your own frequency predictions, the expected effective sunspot number for the week will be around 81, and the 10 to 30 meter bands will, especially in the early morning and late afternoon, provide some good DX fun. Please visit spaceweather.sansa.org.za for further information. Right, before we go on to the upcoming events, just a reminder on the bulletin, let's move on to the Sandton Amateur Club news. Firstly, we've got 2 birthdays that I've got registered at the moment, and that is ZS6 X-Ray Lima, James Durant, on the 8th of January, and Kevin, ZS6 Kilo November Alpha, on the 14th of January. And I know that Errol is on frequency as well, the ZS6KED, and he just mentioned that he's going to be turning 84 very soon. I don't know the date, Errol, but certainly we wish James, Kevin, and yourself happy birthday and many, many years to come. Moving on to upcoming club events. We've mentioned the QRP contest taking place on 20 January between 9:30 and 11:30 SAST. So please, guys, we would like as many Santonians to participate in that QRP contest. We are underwriting this particular one, and it'll be great to hear all the radios on the air on 20 January. We've spoken about the fox hunting instructional, also taking place on 20 January, but at 12:30 South African Standard Time. And please do visit the website, and we will announce the venue, but it's probably going to be the National Amateur Radio Center if we can get that venue. It's a lovely venue for instructionals, and it's got a nice garden there as well where we can play with the fox too. Alternatively, we will announce a different venue if that one is unavailable. Then the 40-meter club contest, which is taking place on 27 January at 1600 South African Standard Time. As you know, the Sandton Amateur Radio Club participates in the 40-meter and the 80-meter club contests and tries to rack up as many points as possible. If you read the last tie poll, you would have seen that we typically come third. And what we would like to try and do is increase our points during 2024 and see if we can't get into second place at least. I'm not sure that we will be able to take on the West Rand Club, certainly as they field a large number of amateurs during the contests, but we can certainly take on the other clubs and may perhaps come into second place. So to diarize 27th of January at 1600 SAST for the 40-meter club contest. Then the 2024 RA intake is now commencing as well. So if you have anybody who is interested in doing the amateur radio exam and getting their license, please do send their names and email addresses to rae@zs6stn.org.za. Or you can just get the prospective candidates to send an email to re@ZS6STN.org.za, and Samir and his team will respond and get those guys on the next RAE instructionals that will be taking place. Let's go back to just finishing off the SARL bulletin, and then we will get on to the technical story of the day. So the diary of upcoming events from an SARL perspective on 12th of January is the closing date for the AGM survey. So please do log on and go and complete those three questions that the SARL are asking us to do so for the SARL AGM. Then there's the Peers National VHF and UHF contest on 12 to 14 January. The National Amateur Radio Centre will reopen on the 15th of January. The provincial schools reopen on the 17th of January. The closing date for the Peers VHF UHF contest logs is the 19th of January. On 20 January is the SARL Summer QRP contest and the Sandton Arc Fox Hunting Instructional. 25 January is the closing date for QRP logs. 27 January is the SARL Saturday 40-meter club contest. 31 January is the closing date for the AGM motions and award nominations, and the registration for the May RAE Opens. And 2 February is the closing date for the 40-meter club contest logs. To conclude the SARL bulletin, a recap of the main news stories. The SARL Annual General Meeting and Awards Dinner will take place in Cape Town on the weekend of 19 to 21 April 2024. It will be hosted by the Cape Town Amateur Radio Centre, and to assist the planning committee in getting an idea of the size of the venue required and to assist with catering planning, please participate in a 3-question survey on the SARL voting system. Log on to the SARL website and you'll see it on the front page. This concludes the SARL bulletin for this morning. At this point, I'd like to move on to the article of interest. I tend to follow quite a lot of the announcements in the news on what's happening in the space environment. I find it fascinating, and all that technology and investment that is going into space, it is very, very interesting. And I'll just cover some of the activities that are going recently into the space environment. Sorry, I'm just going to find my paperwork here. There we go. So here is a few of the space missions that are going to be taking place during 2024, assuming no issues arise. But we have what is called the CLPS mission, Commercial Lunar Payload Service. Many of these will launch in 2024 and are set to bring a variety of instruments to the moon. These missions are built and launched by different private companies under contract from NASA. It's part of the Artemis initiative to continue human exploration of the moon. One of the main aims of the program is to investigate the possibilities of using lunar resources as fuel. Hence, some of the instruments, CLPS-1 or aka Peregrine, are designed to assess the amount of hydrogen on the lunar surface. CLPS-2 is timetabled to launch in January 2024, and there are 4 other missions planned to launch throughout the year. Moving on to, indeed, human exploration will take a small step forward, possibly as early as November 2024, when Artemis 2 orbits the moon for several days. One of the astronauts on board will be female, and definitely a giant leap in what has until now been a solely masculine exploration of our nearest neighbor. Then continuing on the lunar theme, NASA's Trailblazer mission travels to the moon to understand where any water is situated. Is it locked inside rock as part of the mineral structure, or is it deposited as ice on the rocky surface? Trailblazer is currently scheduled for launch in the first quarter of 2024. It's a small mission and part of the Artemis Human Lunar Exploration Program. Then there is Chang'e 6. The latest Chinese mission to the moon is planned for May 2024 and is intended to bring material back to Earth. This is particularly significant because the spacecraft will collect material from the lunar far side, the South Pole Aitken Basin. This is a region where it is believed there is abundant frozen water. We do not have any samples of material from this part of the moon, and although any ice may be long gone by the time the samples are back on Earth, it is anticipated we'll learn a lot about this unexplored region and its potential as a source of water for human visitors. Then in September 2022, there is the NASA's DART mission. In September 22, there was the NASA's DART mission, which encountered a system consisting of two asteroids called Deimos and Dimorphos. And the probe crashed into Dimorphos, the junior partner, on purpose to see if a collision could divert the asteroid in its path. This was a necessary goal if ever Earth were to be target of a direct hit by an incoming asteroid. 2 years later, the European Space Agency Hera mission will launch to visit the same pair of asteroids. It is not designed to hit either body, but to measure the effect of DART's earlier impact. At the time of collision, the orbit of Dimorphos around Didymos got faster by 33 minutes, a significant movement that showed the path of an asteroid could be deflected. But we don't know how effective the impact was, so this Hera mission won't arrive until 2026, but it may be able to provide some of that feedback to us. Then we've got the Europa Clipper mission, launching almost at the same time as the Hera mission. The Europa Clipper is a mission to Jupiter's icy moon, Europa. The mission has been long awaited since the Galileo mission first showed us views of Europa's icy surface in the late 1990s. Since then, we have learned about the ocean that lurks beneath the icy shell, and excitingly, Europa may host life in the form of substantial fauna analogous to the animals that live on the deep ocean floor around hydrothermal events on Earth. The Europa Clipper will fly past Europa between 40 and 50 times, taking detailed images of the surface, monitoring the satellite for ice plumes, and most importantly, looking to see whether this moon has the conditions suitable to support life. The mission will also investigate whether Europa's mission is salty and whether the essential building blocks of life, carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur, are present. Unfortunately, it is not until 2030 that any of these observations will be transmitted back to us, so we will have to wait patiently until then. The mission will also be complemented by observations from ESA's JUICE mission, which is currently on its way to Jupiter. There are a number of other missions as well, which the Japanese Space Agency has their Mars and Moon Exploration MMX mission to Phobios, currently scheduled for September 2024, and it's also designed to return material back to Earth in 2029. Interestingly enough, NASA is also planning another airborne vehicle. I just have to find that article quickly as well. It's called Maggie. NASA plans a massive solar-powered electric plane for Mars missions. So you've heard about the success of their little rotary helicopter on Mars. Well, now there is potentially going to be a fixed-wing aircraft that will provide them ultra-high productivity efficiency powered by solar energy with VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. And so that design and technical effort is called Maggie, what stands for Mars Aerial and Ground Intelligent Explorer. Finally, have you seen all the development that is taking place around transistors? There's a lot of work taking place around transistors, and I think I mentioned last time that they were using silk fibers in transistors as well, and that could actually monitor other environmental impacts, not just your regular transistor which switches on and switches off, and obviously can amplify. So this article is Synaptic Transistor Mirrors Human Brain Function. So one of the big challenges that have been taking place is to have a transistor that has memory included with it, and that there have been a few called the memory I think it is memory, which includes memory. But researchers have developed a groundbreaking synaptic transistor inspired by the human brain. This device can simultaneously process and store information, mimicking the brain's capacity for higher-level thinking. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this particular transistor, but if you have an interest in where transistors are going, go and read up on the synaptic transistor. They have done tests with the synaptic transistor. For the new device, the researchers combined two different types of atomically thin materials, bilayer graphene and hexagonal boron nitride. When stacked and purposely twisted, the materials form a Moore pattern. By rotating one layer relative to the other, the researchers could achieve different electronic properties. With the right choice of twist, researchers harnessed Moore physics for neuromorphic functionality at room temperatures. And that's where this transistor is different. It can operate at normal room temperatures, where some of the prior ones needed to be at phenomenally cold temperatures to actually operate correctly. If AI is meant to mimic human thought, one of the lowest level tasks could be to classify data, which is simply sorting into bins. Our goal is to advance AI technology in the direction of higher level thinking. Real-world conditions are often more complicated than current AI algorithms can handle, so we tested our new devices under more complicated conditions to verify their advanced capabilities. The researchers showed the device a pattern, 000, then they asked the AI to identify similar patterns, such as 111 or 101. And if we trained it to detect 000, then gave it 111 and 101, it knows 111 is more similar to 000 than 101. So they've had great success testing this particular transistor, the synaptic transistor, and it successfully demonstrated associative learning. So this is very fascinating, because if you read all the technical articles, AI is just going to be progressing leaps and bounds going into the future. So I think that brings us to the end of the technical talk for today. I hope you found that interesting. This brings us to a close of the bulletin this morning. So many thanks to all those who participated, and in particular ZR6 Delta X-ray and Knowles for doing the 40-meter relay. And we're also planning on uploading the bulletin, audio bulletins, to the ZS6STN.org.za website as well, rather than doing them on Tuesday evenings. So we would rebroadcast on Tuesday evenings, so we would really appreciate your feedback on whether you want us to continue with the rebroadcast on Tuesday evenings, or whether uploading it to the website will be satisfactory and you can go and get it there at any point in time. So please do join us at the same time, same place next week for the next exciting installment in amateur radio and the Sandton Amateur Radio Club News. At this point, I relinquish the ZS6STN repeater frequencies for general use, and I bid you an awesome week ahead. Catch you on the bands, 7-3.